Welcome to Sangiacomo Vineyard. We are right now on the northwest corner of Sonoma Mountain in a place called the Petaluma Gap. In fact, this is the very last vineyard in the Petaluma Gap because right across the road from here, the land starts rising steeply to meet the top of Sonoma Mountain. This particular spot funnels in all of that cool weather from the Petaluma Gap, which is the only spot all up and down the coast where there is physically a gap so that all the cold weather from the Gulf of Alaska can flow right in, slams up against the mountain here, and kind of lingers and creates almost a refrigerator effect. This is one of the coolest sites in Sonoma County and hence produces a lot of really great animal and sauvage, viscous sorts of characters that come from this site and the wild yeasts that live here. I'd like to introduce you all now to Steve Sangiacomo. And Steve, can you tell us a little about your family history and how you guys came to farm grapes?
Yeah, we've been farming in Sonoma County for over 80 years. And we were originally fruit and tree farmers, and in the early 1980s, kind of that whole fruit business kind of went by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, I remember.
Luckily, this has been turned out to be a wonderful area here in Sonoma County, and we farm in Carneros, and we also farm here in the Sonoma coast of Petaluma Gap. So
the soil here is a rocky, cobbled wash down from Sonoma Mountain. 10,000 years ago, this particular soil right here was Copeland Creek, and now it's planted to these wonderful vines.
This site, we'd really let Mother Nature do its thing. Even when we planted it, it didn't need a lot of amendments, soil amendments and so forth. We kind of really let Mother Nature kind of let the vines grow, let them suck up the wonderful rich soil and produce these, well-balanced fruit to vine canopy balance. And this allows rich, enhanced, and really diverse flavors.
So here we are with literally the fruits of our labor, the Sangiacomo Chardonnay. And this particular site does tend to bring this kind of musky, savage, animal kind of quality, which people really like so much and think is a Betard Montrachet.
We really work hard to make sure that the vine produces not too much, but not too little, because I think when you produce too little, you kind of get some vegetative components, and when you produce too much, you kind of get that kind of dilution that can kind of come into play. And I think that's kind of with our history of knowing what these vineyards can produce and working multi-generationally with our family, we have a really good idea what our vines can produce to produce outstanding wine.
Well, I think you've really hit two key points right on the head. The first is multi-generational family stewardship of the land, and then also that what you're saying is that balanced vines make balanced wines. And that's really the hallmark of this wine here, is the balanced texture layer. Now we got the Pinot Noir, and we've already talked about how to make a balanced wine from balancing the vines. But the most important thing that winemakers go nattering on about is getting the smaller berry size, more skin to juice ratio. How do you go about doing that in a place like this?
Well, it's a technique that you've really helped us adopt into our vineyards, and much appreciated. So we basically pull the leaf opposite of the bunch, and so that really allows for shatter of the berries. So the berries are smaller, and that's where you really get that high juice to skin ratio that really develops, those rich tannins and intense flavors in the wine.
Steve, I really appreciate what you and your family have done for me, both personally and in my career, as well as what you're doing for Follette Wines now, and for all of us winemakers, all the hose draggers out there. I'd like to say thank you.
Well, thank you for all your hard work, and as always, the world-class wines you produce are sure fun to be a part of, and also obviously drink as well.
Here's to family.
Cheers.